Hello and happy Wednesday. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think women's roles in society and in home should be. Now I know my viewpoint is not what most women think of, and I will probably get a lot of hate about my viewpoint, but it's something that I've thought a lot about, especially that considering that I used to work an 80-hour-a-week job, and I'm speaking from a lot of experience as well as speaking from just observations of things that are going on in society today, as well as the way some households and children are. Now, I will say this, that I do know that not every household is the same, and not every child or family dynamic is the same. But I truly, in my opinion, I think that women shouldn't choose to have children and a family as well as a physically or mentally demanding careers. I don't think that they should do that. I think children typically are the ones who suffer for that. And I'm speaking from experience because I feel like my son suffered because I had a career for most of his childhood. I worked as an accountant, I worked as a bookkeeper, and I worked 80 hours a week for most of his childhood. And I think that he suffered for that. I really do. I didn't have a choice at the time. I really didn't. I was a single parent, and I got some child support, not a whole lot, and I didn't have a choice. I had to work, and I realized that many women are in the same situation that I was in, and they have to work. But in the same breath, I could have taken jobs that were less physically demanding or less mentally demanding. I could have taken jobs that let me be home more and spend more time with him, but I chose to have a career. I chose to be a bookkeeper and to try and improve my career levels. And I think my son is the one who had suffered for that. I really do. I did not get a chance to do go to things for him because I was working. I didn't get to do his homework with him. The person I was with at the time used to help him with homework, but I still feel like he was neglected. In a lot of ways, I feel that I should have done more for him. I really do. And this is where I'm speaking from. I also feel that kids, they see things, when you feel guilty that you can't be there, and they take advantage of that. I think that kids are very opportunistic. They really are. From elementary school to middle school to even some high school, they're very opportunistic, and they're going to take advantage of a situation if you allow them to. And I think that happens a lot. Parents right now are afraid to discipline children, or they feel that they shouldn't have to discipline children, that children will learn on their own. And that's not my experience. My experience, and from watching not only my son and my nephews and other children that I used to babysit, you have to give children structure. You have to give them a basis. And when a parent is a absentee parent, or they're not around as much, they don't have the time or energy to be able to devote as much time to their children as they should, I typically reflects in the child's behavior. My son acted out a lot and I didn't pay attention to the signs. I was so consumed with trying to get ahead in my career and trying to make as much money as possible that I didn't pay attention to him acting out and him trying to get my attention. And that was my fault. It truly was. And I think that happens a lot in today's society, and parents are either tired or consumed with other things and they're not paying attention to their children. I think that the child is the one that suffers from that. I also have, in this past year, watched a lot of news and parents complaining that their kids are home. Parents weren't working, they were off, they weren't working, they were laid off, or for other reasons, they weren't working, and their kids are home, and they don't know how to help their children. They don't know how to help their children online or do their schoolwork, and that should be a parent's job to me. To me, I think parents should take all responsibility for their children. They should be helping their children with their homework, and if the kids are home and and parents are home, they should be there helping the kids on their schoolwork. For basically my son's high school years, I didn't work because my disability had started really bothering my brain and I had to quit working, and I was there with my son and I would help him with his classes. I would sit into the online school that he went to. They would allow the parents to kind of sit and watch the school class, the classes, and I could see what my son was learning, and therefore I could help him whenever he had questions with his homework. And I realized at that time I should have been doing that for all of his school, not being there in his classes, but being there for him to help him with his homework. And if I didn't know an answer, I could find the answer. Everything that he did online for school was available for parents to look at and for parents to go over, and I could find whatever problems he had. I could teach him how to learn and how to find the answers for himself. And I learned a lot about parenting in the last, say, 3-4 years of my son's high school years, when he was doing the online schoolwork and I was there helping him. I was there being a teacher, and I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. I didn't know what was going on, I didn't know how to do it, but I learned. And I was there with him when he would go to all of the different classes and the tutorials, and at the beginning of each school year they would have a virtual open house, and they would show students and parents, if the parents paid attention, they would show the parents how to navigate in the online world, in the online school. And over time, over that first year, I learned how to do all of that, and I took a much more active role in teaching him and helping him, being his teacher. Even though he had teachers, they had classes, they had school classes where they had to go on and pay attention to schoolwork. They had classwork, they had work that they had to do in front of the class and stuff like that, just like with a regular school, but it was online. And he learned just as much, but I was there to make sure he got all his work done. If there was any questions that he had, I was there helping him. And I think that, especially in this past year, it's an opportunity I think a lot of parents didn't try to take. I know that there were parents who were helping their kids as much as they could, but they didn't know how to work with things. And I know that those tutorials and those online resources were there. It's just, it can be a little intimidating, but to me, if your child is worth it, you learn how to do it so that you can be there and be active teachers in your child's life. And I wish that I had taken those opportunities when he was younger to be more involved with his education. And I think that a lot of parents nowadays, they want to send their kids to school and not have to worry about what they're learning in school. That's the school is their daycare, and the school is the one raising their kids, and they don't discipline their kids. They don't take care, do things with their kids. The kids are accessories, and I see that in this area where I live, and parents don't take an active role in their kids' schooling, and they don't take an active role in their kids' education and development. And I think kids are significantly losing out on a lot. I know my parents weren't always home. My mom worked, my dad worked. My mom worked smaller jobs. She didn't really have career. I mean, she did bookkeeping and things like that, but she was typically home in the afternoons, usually around 4 or 5 o'clock. And both my parents made a point. Now, they didn't always go about it the right way, or they were very strict about it, but they wanted to make sure that we knew what we were talking about. If we had questions, we could go to them and they would find the answers, and now I didn't have a whole lot of questions. I had A's and B's, or B's and C's in school, and I very seldom studied. But my brother was not that lucky. My brother struggled with school a lot, and he had trouble studying and staying focused. We found out later he was dyslexic when he was in school, which gave him a lot of the problems that he had. But my parents still tried to take a more active role in our schooling and our education. And I think that a lot of today, I go to the store and I see, people with small children, and they just let their kids run around, and they don't try to discipline them, and they don't try to make them behave. And I don't understand that. Today's society, I mean, we live in a city, in a metropolitan area. Kids go missing all the time. And my son is 18. He turns 19 next month. And we go into a grocery store together, and he still, on instinct, stands next to me and puts his hand on the basket, because that's how I taught him when he was young. And that was what when we went into a store, he kept his hand on the basket, because I didn't want somebody taking off with him. I wanted to make sure I knew where he was at all times. And it seems like today, not all parents are like that. And I don't understand it. I don't understand why you wouldn't want your kids to be well behaved in a store, why you wouldn't want your kids right there with you in case something might happen, in case there is some crazy person who wants to steal kids and sell them, or steal kids and hurt them. I don't understand why you wouldn't want your kids right there with you. That just boggles my mind sometimes. So, but I know my opinions aren't PC, completely. I know that. I know that it is today's society that women can do just as much as men. And I'm not saying that they can't. But I think that if a woman chooses to have children, then she should be taking the responsibility of raising those children, of being responsible for their education, being responsible for their development. And I don't think a lot of women do that nowadays, while they're also trying to have a career, trying to advance in their career, learning about everything they need to do with their career. And one thing will suffer, is what I see. Either their career will suffer and they're not going to advance as much as they would want, or their children are going to suffer and the children won't develop, and they won't have those social skills or the skills that they need if they had a parent who is active in trying to help with their development and their education. I know it's not PC. I really do. And women who can do it, I applaud you. But I don't think it should be a trade-off. I don't think it should be something that women should aspire to. I think that a family, whether it's 2 women or 2 men or a man and a woman, I think that there should be a parent, at least one parent, who takes care of the children and who is an active participant in their development and education and being raised. I don't think it should be put on schools or daycares or things like that, or other people to raise your children or take care of your children. And that is something that I truly feel. Now, women who don't want to have children, they want to go and have careers. That is great. If you have a partner who is more wants to stay home and or wants to be the active partner, and you have the child and your partner is the active child care, then that is that's fine, as long as there's at least one parent who is there all the time taking care and working on the development of the children. So that is going to be it for today. I will actually have another video on my channel going up tomorrow. It will be my range chicken breast and range chicken wings. That'll go up tomorrow. JR will be back on Friday with his video, and we'll both be back on Monday with our joint video. So I hope to see you then. Please like and subscribe, and you have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye.